always a risk to our national security. So having those people scale the walls, they literally scale the walls, break into the building, break into a congressional door on the floor, and literally she was going through it. What was she going to do when she got inside, Diana? What do you think she was going to do? When you look at her actions, look at her body movements, what do you think she was going to do? Their job is first and foremost is to protect those members of Congress. Period. That was their job. So if she decided to do everything she did to go somewhere where she was not supposed to be lawfully and go through the door, what was she going inside to do?
The challenge for me, Rachel, are all the what ifs because I'm forcing my brain into legal form and just taking the acts, right? Like, for example, I know it's a different situation, but we also have been talking in Debate the News about what was it, the stabbing of the two high school kids, right? And the whole stand your ground and the whole you touch me and it's okay for me to stab you in the heart. And so I'm trying to just take frame by frame
Mhm.
to be able to come up with something that I don't think is a win-win for anybody, but this is America. Listen, in the chat was going crazy, right? So they brought up also all of the due process that um you're going to use thugs, let's use thugs for Tren de Aragua members and all of the due process that people are fighting for in Ashlee's case, to hear her called a dog that deserved to die without any, first of all, she is dead, but without any even process of her mental well being, her deployments, this shit that Trump keeps saying that the election was stolen, despite, you know what I mean? Like, I'm looking at just that and her case.
Okay, so basically, what you're doing is minimizing the fact that had she not scaled the walls, broke through the windows, broke through the doors, tried to break into the floor where the members were, then she wouldn't have been shot and killed. You're not looking at that, okay? So the bottom line is conflating this with everything else. Conflating it, literally conflating it with the young boy who stabbed the student in Texas. Like that situation is not even the same thing because you have this one person that had two brothers that were super giants basically coming at him with all the stuff that's coming out right now. And so, yeah, he defended himself. That has nothing to do with someone who made a choice with hundreds of other people to go and try to take back the vote because they believe Donald Trump did not win per Donald Trump, sending them to go and do it. They literally breached an institution of this country. They
The
breached it.
comparison, the
They
comparison
no no
was
no
to
no
imminent
it
danger.
it does not even matter about imminent. You know who
It
was
does.
imminent?
It's the
You
law.
no, but you know who was in imminent danger? Those members of Congress.
Not really.
That's
Not with
that's
four
who that's who
other. Not
that's
with
who
four
was in
other
imminent
armed
danger.
guards.
Okay, it was four armed guard against
Yeah, they would have been able to give
how
JB the
many
bloodbath he wanted to see.
how many insurrectionists was there compared to those four? How
We're
many
only
cops?
talking about
How many
Ashley
police
Babbitt's
officers did
case.
you see getting their asses beat
We're only talking about
by
Ashley
all
Babbitt.
the people that was there? How
Mhm.
many people did you see get smashed into the doors by all of the people that was there? They were outnumbered. Let's start with that.
One case at a
Let's start
time.
with that. They were outnumbered. They were outnumbered. Okay. So at the end of the day, if they breached and tried to go, their job was to defend those members, and that's exactly what they did. Did anybody else go through the door after she got shot? Did anyone else try and go through that hole in the door? Did any of the other insurrections try
That's
and
the
go in?
reason that he should have shot differently. That's just my
Well,
opinion,
no. I
Rachel.
mean,
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, at
Listen,
the
if
end of
they
the day,
didn't have four
if
other
y'all,
armed guards there, I would have thought differently. And I was thinking differently.
Mhm. But you
why
know,
did she go through the door, Diana? They
This
and didn't they tell
because the president
and
was
didn't
sitting
they
there
tell
saying the
her
election was
and didn't they
stolen.
tell her to stop? How
Because the
many times did they
president
warn
sat
her?
there
How
and
many
said
times
the
was she
election was
warned
stolen.
not to go through the door? How many times? But you're sitting here and saying, "Oh, but it was four of them." How many members of Congress was in there from the House and the Senate?
Those were big
Hunker
guns,
down,
Rachel.
hunker down. How many members of Congress was in there? Did they know what people were coming into that space with? Did
There
they know
weren't
whether
more
or
than
not
10
did they
people in
know
that
whether
crowd.
did they know whether or not they had guns? They know whether or not she had a gun.
There were no more than 10 people in that
Did they know
supposed
whether or
crowd.
not she had a gun?
Oh,
They
yeah.
knew that she didn't have it in her hands. She didn't have shit in her
Did
hands.
they know whether or not anybody that was with her had a gun?
Mm.
Did the high
It's just
school
it's the
kid
most
know the kid
ridiculous
had a
thing in the
knife? Did the
world.
high school
It's
kid
it's
know the
it's
kid had a
ridiculous.
knife? Did the
It's
high school
it's
kid
Nah,
not
know
the
he had a
same
knife?
thing.
No,
They're
he
not the
didn't.
same thing. Stop conflating. They're
It
not
is
the
the
same
same
thing.
right.
thing.
No, you want to
Excessive
make it the same
force.
thing because you want to have
This
an
is
argument
not the
for it,
same
but it's
thing.
not the same thing.
One mic, guys. Come on, we can't do that. We got a podcast.
My bad, man.
We got no, not too. I'm talking about yeah, Rochelle, guys, we got a podcast.
I'm done.
Me too.
Yeah. I just think it's weird that people can't make a statement and stand on it. They always want to what's it, compartmentalize the different aspects of the story and then say we standing on it, talking about this one thing, but then bring up teenagers with a knife and did you know this? But you want to stay on Ashley Babbitt, stay on Ashley Babbitt. Like it's crazy. There's no you can't give no reasons. You just picking and choosing different things and not answering the hard questions that the lady's asking you. I'm sorry, I don't know her name. But just let you know I'm a big fan of yours. But yeah, I just think it's funny that when people are at these Trump followers or thinking that you should have shot differently. First off, do you think the people, Mike Pence and all them, or want people to be shot in the leg or worry about that, or they worry about coming home tonight and making it out alive? And if we gotta kill a few people to get them out the way so they can be safe, that's what they want. They're not sitting here thinking about, oh well, just don't kill the bad guys, just mace them. Don't kill the bad guys, just shooting in the ceiling. Don't kill the bad guys, just hit them in the leg or something. I'm like, no, kill these jokers until they realize, y'all ain't going. We're not letting y'all pass. Like anything else is they're like a what the fuck moment. Who gives a fuck? Like that shit's crazy as hell. And everybody keep not just Diana, but everybody on Trump's side to keep doing that same talking point over and over again. That shit's weird. Like y'all want violence in some spots and some things you don't want violence in. It's crazy. But I'm done.
No,
Yeah, like at a school event, track event. We don't want no violence there.
Yet the
Yeah.
two brothers towered over the young man, and they were the aggressors. They
And they
touched him
had
first.
4 armed
They
guards
touched
there.
they touched him first.
Right.
But there was violence, and there's going to be more if something that doesn't happen. And it's just it's the arrogance, and I hate to say it, but the ignorance. If we don't realize this, I mean, I can't even fathom. I don't know the rationale that you're giving for, you know, why it happened. I don't know what your name is either, and also am a fan. I can't remember either, Quentin, but
It's
see you later.
Rachel.
Rochelle, yes,
What's
yes, I
that?
love
Okay,
you.
thank
Yeah,
you.
yeah. I'm gonna be coming back to I'm gonna be coming back to Chatter just for this room alone. So I'll be back soon.
And doctor, just so that I understand, what's the rationale you believe that I'm giving for this? This is Diana.
Hi, Diana. I just think that you're double-minded in it, and I mean we can. Here's the thing with me, with a real debate, you can disagree, you can agree to disagree. I don't agree with anything that that you're saying. If that's what you believe, then hey, that's your right to do so. But and that's why I like debate rooms that actually allow perspectives from all people to be heard and respected, and that's what I'm doing. But I do not understand on any level as to how you can believe what you do. But if you do, you do.
I
Mhm.
think you described it perfectly with double minded. We do, in fact, have 2 big parts of our brains, and then we have a midbrain that we can utilize as well. So I tend to use all of it.
Yeah, well, I mean, we can go into that. I'm a psychologist. There's also something that's just called denial, but that's all right. I'm not going to get into that discussion tonight. I mean, I'm a psychologist, so we choose what we you know, we make the choice.
I agree with the denial part. For example, it was said in the first show, it was actually a question. What would have happened if Ashlee Babbitt would have made it all the way through the window? I believe that at that point, the three or four armed guards that were not previously shown in the video presented would have shot everybody there if they would have gotten close to the cabinet members. So it is
She would have died.
denial to think that they were an imminent threat. That's the denial I see after reading all of this in the last 2 hours while we've been here.
How do they know that they were not
Saying she would have did not
an
got
immediate threat?
killed anyway, though. That was just
Because there were four big ass police people with huge guns right behind her that could have shot everybody on command if they would have gotten close to those doors.
No, no, Diana. Guys? What happened? Okay, this is how secure that area was. They had three armed guards outside, and they had several armed guards inside. The mob broke through and got there to where the three guards were, and they had weapons and everything else. They forced the three guards aside that was protecting that door. See, they had protection on that door. Okay, so that's why when people say she didn't get far enough in, okay, they had protection on that door. They had three armed guards. They removed the protection. They removed the three armed guards, and the three armed guards are faced with a decision to let them the door do its job or kill and shoot some of them. And the armed guards decided to move to the side, okay, rather than fight. They didn't. They had them because they're up against a mob of people.
right.
So let's say when they're saying that there's just guards standing there, they were standing there trying to fight. They'll push them back, and the crowd overtook them. All right,
We
so they
cannot
moved.
see the same video, Jonathan. Those guards were not overtaken by nobody. That woman
One,
walked
one,
down
one,
an
second,
empty hallway.
one second. The guards over there, they were overtaken. And then if you play the video, see what you don't have. You have the video from the people that was there when they got there. Okay, but those guards stood in front of that door, and we read and chat read the congressional report. Okay, from their investigation, those guards were overtaken. Here, I'll read that for a part for you. Okay, here, let me see if I can find it.
I'm talking about the guards with Ashlee Babbitt, the one from the video that was played
Let,
after
let, let
Nelson
me.
brought it up.
Okay,
What average? Okay.
one second, because you said, wow. One second here, just gotta do this quick message. This is crazy. Here now I'll go back and get this.
Show the video, Dan.
No, where's that? Here's right here. All right, the press release. It says, uh, close to public. Yeah, the investigation determined. All right, Glassdoor hallway speaker chamber members. All right. Eventually, the three USCP, the U.S. Capitol Police officers positioned outside the door were forced to evacuate. So,
Yeah, well, force doesn't mean the same thing to all of us. Don't you forget about COVID.
okay, all right,
Uh,
all right,
Uh
okay,
huh.
I give up, I give up.
So
that
do
is
we. Listen, I'm not
that
saying
was
she was
yeah.
right. I'm not saying that, I'm not saying any of that. I'm just
That,
saying that there's a reason there are criminal investigations and civil suits. That's all I'm saying. And there's a lot more to this story and a lot more to these damn videos than y'all try to show us.
I don't know what y'all trying to show us. I mean, this stuff is on the internet for a reason. You can look it up too. But to say force don't mean the same thing. Don't forget about COVID. That was just my God. Like it's like y'all are purposely just don't want to believe what's the truth is. And
No,
yeah,
you just forget we've all been hanging here for 4 years,
three
Q.
times. Huh?
You just forget that we've been hanging here for 4 years. Jonathan said that we were not forced to take the COVID vaccine. Other people say that we were forced. It's the
I
same
don't know.
thing
We're
here
not
with
talking
with
about the
Les
COVID
with Ashlee
vaccine.
Babbitt.
Yeah,
No,
guys, the
no, I
people
don't
were
know.
forced. You got to arm gang mob. and they're talking about the armed mob forced you. We know what that means. Let's not. I don't want you losing credibility over this.
Exactly. Like, what are we talking about? Don't bring up a whole different subject. Just try to make a point that doesn't exist. Like, that's crazy.
Intent
Man, they
is intent.
topic. How don't
Imminent
let
danger is imminent danger. These are legal terms.
so you have a mob of people, and instead of and imagine they would have started shooting, and they would have ran out of bullets, and you still got more people coming at you, then you just would have been killed as a police officer trying to maintain, and they you killed a bunch of their friends, so they about to just shoot you back too. It would have been a lose for them, a loss for them to even fire shots. So instead, they was fighting back, pushing them back with their rifles. But the people forced them out the way. Like, is that hard to believe or to even think about any mental, seeing how that would play out?
It
Or
is hard to believe because
you
of
got
the
to
video
bring
we
up
saw,
this
Q.
point about that. That didn't
It's
make
hard to believe because of the video we saw, Q. That's why.
How many people was watching it in real time as they were showing it on all of the networks, Fox, MSNBC, CNN? How many people were watching that?
The
So
video
so
we
that that
wait one
that was
second. The
fake.
video we saw, guys, don't let Diana gaslight you. The video we saw confirms everything that we've been seeing always. It's the same videos, okay?
right.
And Nelson pointed out that there are always tops because they knew about that. That report been out. People were talking about that, but just because Nelson pointed like, oh look, there's officers right there. Now all of a sudden, that's the crazy thing about chatter. People are like, oh yeah, we can lay our hat on that. Okay,
Jonathan, you wrong
well,
for
one second, hold on,
this.
one second, hold on. If that was the case, how come all of MAGA hasn't laid their hat on that? How come all of MAGA not saying that? Oh, there was officers there. No one was saying that. No one's all of a sudden and debate the news. And I know debate news is all that, but we discover shit that hasn't been discovered yet. The- From video
Right.
that's been viewed millions of times, but we're the only ones that discovered that shit, and it becomes a talking point. I land.
Y'all overuse that word gaslighting like you guys overuse the
I
word
never
MAGA.
used gaslight. I even use, I never, you guys, that word came out of my mouth one time today, just now. Never.
Nah, not at all.
So what are you talking
Q.
about?
She's
Where's
having a
that?
Freudian slip, Jonathan.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Because I never even said that word. What's going on with you, Diane? Are you okay? Are you having a stroke over there?
Man,
And
I'm gonna go listen.
cue me like I'm a logical person. I don't sit here and pick sides just to be on being side because I'm on Clubhouse.
How
I'm
you
a
gonna say you logical when you on Clubhouse and you can be on Chatter? What's wrong with you?
oh my god, y'all you can't even stick to the topic. I'm just like you like Q like I'm saying something wrong. I see the news too. Like what we talking about? I can make a logical decision and say, oh, this is wrong on the thug side, not on the police or the Mike Pence. Next thing you know, you're gonna start blaming Mike Pence and everybody else, the Congress people, for even being there. What they doing working that day anyway? Like, come on, bro.
No, but Q, don't you think that Trump has a little bit of responsibility in all of this, though? That's got to weigh in a little bit. At least it does for me. And that she was a veteran on 8 deployments
So
in Iraq and
it is
Afghanistan.
on better.
You know how many vets are enraged with that war, and to have the president and the administration kind of, I don't know, I don't want to say that they're playing off of these emotions, but it's definitely feeling that way when you look at this specific case. It's not okay, you guys.
So them being mad at Trump caused them to go run up into the do a riot and be labeled as a terrorist and whatnot for
Opposite, not because they were mad at him, because they truly believed that an election was stolen, which goes against all American values. And this was fueled.
what was going to be next after they broke through and got through and they hung Mike Pence and whoever else.
Ain't
What was
nobody hanging
they
Mad
just gonna kill
Pence.
him and go home and say, "Yeah, man, we did that. Trump got us. We ain't going. We did that. We just went out there with cameras everywhere, no mask on, killed. We hung Mike Pence like we said we was gonna do. Killed the other ladies. You know, security guards. We got them out the way quick. You know, because we all got like, ARs and rifles. and we killed them. We did that. But what laws? What did they get passed for doing such a thing? Except for now, they about to be hunted by the U.S. Oh, it got real quiet. Okay. Okay. I thought so.
I'm also, this might sound stupid. I do have a question though. Why were they trying to kill Mike Pence? Wasn't he like Trump's VP? I don't get it.
Well, because he stood against him, because he came out against him at the end. That's why.
Oh, I see. I see. Okay.
He was doing his job and following the rules.
Thank you. A bunch of followers, like what's going on in this chatter and in clubhouse with this debate. Bunch of followers speaking and can't even stand on what they saying. They just want to keep moving the goalposts when you ask them a real direct question.
Hey, Q, I want to play devil's advocate. You said they were gonna go home and say, "Well, Trump's got me." They actually aged well because Trump did have them. I just want to point that little piece out.
Can't deny
And
that.
and to whoever asked why they wanted to hang Mike Pence, so it had to do with Mike Pence refusing to overturn the Electoral College certification of Joe Biden's win. So that's what made the rioters go against Mike Pence. And so again, it ties into President Trump. And so for me, part of the reason that he decided to act the way that he has been acting is because in my opinion, there's an obvious layer of responsibility there with what happened on January 6th.
I think that if once again, yeah, he refused to not certify the election. Trump wanted a constitutional crisis, and Mike Pence said he doesn't have a say in it. His role is just a formality, and he's going to do it. And so they wanted to kill him because of that. So you know, I 100%. I'm not one to sit here and say that I'm not gonna pull any punches. Ashley Babbitt is where she belongs, dead, and and it's fortunate for others because they could have very well easily been right there beside her, feeding maggots.
Feet maggots, maggots and MAGA. It's like soil. You mix them together and grow your food.
That's exactly right. So yeah,
Y'all both have lost your mind.
No, we haven't actually. That's actually made perfect. When he said that, I said, "Oh, maggots and MAGA, the next soil creator. Y'all about to be out
Hold on,
here
Diane. You believe that she should?
farming."
You do you believe that that was injustice towards her?
I think that they could have waited to shoot her. I don't think that she should have been shot dead at that specific point. I think he could have made a um, different decision. And then, what changed it for me, Chris, was the video that was played with, I want to say the three or four armed guards that I believe were there when she walked through the empty hallway and then met them at that door. I don't know how the hell these officers got to be behind the crowd with supposedly that they were forced with big ass guns. So that changed it for me because I don't know if you were here when Jonathan asked me if what if, right? What if they would have waited and she would have gotten through? I didn't know all those police officers were behind her, but I did say that at that point, shoot to kill, right? If you get through and it's your last door, that's it. So yes,
But she was
prematurely.
going through.
Nah, she was going through the window.
I mean, well, it's still through a window through a door, right?
Not the same.
Oh my god.
And she wasn't all the way through. Don't, oh
Well,
my
hold on.
God,
Was it?
McHugh.
Hold on. Correct
When
me.
you
Am I wrong? Was it a window? It was a door with a window in it that was broken, right?
It was a door with the window on the top. Yeah. She had to step on
All right. Well,
somebody.
you wanted her to actually make it through the window completely?
I wanted her to at least be
I feel like this is
immediately,
semantics.
She wanted her to.
immediately.
She had to tag the officer like the game of tag. She had to at least
No,
tag the
y'all, like
officer.
it's literally called immediate threat, imminent danger. Just like in California, when somebody comes into your house, you can't just shoot them to protect your property.
They
Okay?
not in California,
This
and
is
this.
DC, and this federal. You know that,
Yeah,
right?
yes, we
Like
I
can.
you
understand that. But
everything you get
Chris,
arrested for in DC is federal.
I get it, Chris, but look,
It,
for me, it's because of all of the other factors. And I think, again, the settlement, we talked about other cases receiving settlements. And in some of those cases, the person, the deceased, was also committing a crime. And because of certain things, the family received a settlement, right? In this
Mhm.
case, they were going to drag this out, both sides. It's not going to look good on either party. So, from a technical perspective, I don't think that this is shocking. We talked about this the last time we covered this case. This was coming. Jonathan was shocked. I get it, but this was coming. So,
Yeah, you know, no, we never talked about this and said they're going to settle. Let's not do that, Diana.
we've always, yes, we did. We
No, we
talked
didn't.
about the
We never said
difference
this is going
between,
to settle.
oh my goodness.
No, we
so see,
never did.
Wait a minute.
don't be lying to make a point now.
Yeah, that's what I
Wait a
said,
minute. So,
right?
Diana, if somebody comes up
Oh,
in your
oh,
house, you just
Quentin, you
gonna
don't
let
want
them
to
come
go
in? You're
into
just
who
gonna be like,
lies,
no, don't
okay?
come in, don't hurt
You,
me, please
They
don't
got to
come
get
in,
through the
don't hurt
window.
me.
Q, drop the lying comment. For real, for real. What would you say, Leslie?
Stop
So,
it.
so if
You
somebody comes up in your house, you're gonna be
you
like, don't
said
come in. Let's talk about it. Don't
how
hurt me. I'll be your best friend if you don't hurt me.
No, Leslie, I'm just saying that there are laws regarding imminent threat. That there are. And in this case, we have a full video. She didn't have a weapon in her hands when she was climbing
How
over the
do they know
window.
that?
And
really.
she had four armed freaking guards right behind her with big guns. And she had another one right in front of her.
Diana, could
So
you see inside her clothes? How do they know that she didn't have a weapon on her?
Right.
I mean, did you see a
so
video inside of her
well,
clothes that I didn't
I
see,
mean,
maybe?
well, we could see the video again, but it's really hard to shoot when you've got both hands trying to get you over a window. So all of these things you could see in the multiple different videos, and you could read about them too.
Yeah, I've seen them all.
Okay.
But Diana, by law, he was already cleared.
They
So
even
what laws are you speaking about to where there's something more other than what was already done in the investigation? Because the investigation cleared him, which means
The
he followed the law
investigation,
to the T.
yeah, they cleared him of any criminal acts, but there was a section that chat read that was section 242 that said even if the act was performed out of fear or negligence, it it didn't matter for the criminal investigation because he was cleared. Civilly, when they brought up, for example, the multiple times that he's had issues with what they called armed powers, this was being set up as negligence because she wasn't armed. There were additional armed guards there and other forms of handling her trying to get over the window could have been taken. Now, whether they would have prevailed or not is a different story. That's why these settlements take place, not just in her case, but in many other cases.
she don't deserve no damn settlement. And let's look at some actual facts. A bunch of people stormed a federal building armed, knowing you can't have weapons on federal land at all, and you have a bunch of people, yelling and screaming, hang, we're gonna hang Mike Pence, we're gonna kill Mike Pence. So now you're threatening, a person that's in on a political stage, and there's only a certain amount of police officers there to defend them, and they never left the building. They was hiding under desks, and you had a few defend them with, and yes, they could have started shooting all of them, but though again, those rioters, those terrorists had ARs too. They had, and some of them could have had automatic weapons. We could see the videos of them jumping in with nooses and all type of gear, weapons and stuff. And y'all in here talking about, oh well, we should just shut them in the leg. We should just mace them. Oh, she was jumping through a window and she had her hands tied. But you didn't know if she had a gun in her pocket or her waistband. Because even when she got shot and the friends took her away, how y'all not? How did you don't think somebody said, "Oh, let's take this weapon off of her so she doesn't get more time at it"? Put slip this in my pocket. Could have been anything. We don't know. But to assume like the police are supposed to know out of all these hundreds of people that Ashlee Babbitt was not armed and she was just falling through a window mistakenly, is crazy as hell. And I just don't see why you're fighting so hard to make it seem like she deserves something when she is a terrorist. It should have been a whole lot more headshots going on, to be honest with you. Like they said, smell that iron. And me too, Bing. I
Preach,
know
preach,
exactly what
preach,
it's
brother Quentin. Preach.
Uh, just just to point this
me
out,
This is
they
too.
didn't
crazy.
have
Point is,
they didn't
is the
have those type
conversation
of
going
weapons
to
that you're talking about. They had makeshift weapons, like utilizing furniture and stuff like that, but they didn't have
Who
anything that
knows
shot
that when
out.
you're writing? You want the
I
folks
just
to
went
know
through a
that off
fact check.
the
Like
head?
as you were speaking, I was just looking it up.
That's correct, Christopher. But what he's saying is, how will the police officers be aware of that? It's not like they walked the metal detectors and was screened before they decided to do this.
Right. They didn't have time to determine which person had a weapon and which person didn't. They knew there were weapons, though.
Exactly. You talking about after the fact? Man, come on, man. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, Christopher. Be logical with yourselves. I'm trying to get Diana to do the same thing, like, because if this happened literally at your house, and would you want to have a handgun and a rifle with real bullets, or do you want to have mace and these bullet punching bag things to defend you and your family? And you got 500 people outside your door screaming and they all got rifles and weapons, and they screaming, "We gonna hang Diana. We gonna kill her family." What you gonna do then? Police ain't even get into the come in and help you because there's so many people between them getting in and them in the middle, and then you in your house, and your
Yeah,
house is.
but see, this is a whole different scenario. There's like this is a whole building with several
But the
officers
only
and other
difference
armed.
is her your land
So
isn't.
let me say this right because now you're bringing up so the next time there's ever a riot or people protesting, it's okay for police to just shoot them and kill them, right?
Are you purposely
I'm just
missing
asking
this?
like
I'm
if in
I'm I'm,
DC
I'm
there's ever
responding
a
to you. Just
protest
let me respond.
or a riot, is it
You're
okay for just people to just kill them? Because
I mean, are they doing that?
that's what you
Listen,
guys are
listen,
talking about.
bro. You
You're literally
keep.
saying that we just gotta
Can you
shoot
hear me
anybody
or
for
no?
protesting.
He
Let me
can
just
hear
get
you.
my point across, and then you can answer.
Oh,
Because
because
you're
you're
not
you're
you
you're
right now you're
talking for me.
listening. Because right now you're listening to respond. You're not listening to understand. I just want to know because you guys are all saying that because people were protesting, at a federal building in D.C. that they should have just been killed. So the next time anybody ever protests anywhere in D.C. Near any federal grounds, they should just be killed and shot in the head, right?
Okay, Christopher. Let me explain
I
something to
respond
you.
after.
Hold on. Let me explain something to you. All right. I'm gonna teach you something right now. When you ask people a question, they are listening to respond. But if you're making a statement, then they're not. Then they should be listening to understand. Okay. So you purposely left out the part where if these people go to the federal building to riot. Now, if people break into a federal building with nooses and screaming, we're gonna Mike Pence needs to die and we need to hang him and all this other shit or whatever the chant was, then yes, they deserve to be shot. Okay?
In there real quick. What's up,
But you
everybody?
can't just say DC. You can't just
So,
one second,
so
Divine.
what
You
about
can't
people
just say
protesting?
DC, brother. Hold on now. It's your turn to listen. You can't just say DC. You just purposely left out the federal building.
I just
You
said on
left that
federal
out.
grounds. I said any federal
If
grounds.
somebody riots with screaming out, "We need to kill the vice president," while breaking into and if the situation is recreated, yes, they deserve to be shot. How about that? Yes.
I
Okay,
just want to
so
say one
Well,
thing.
hey, hold on,
right now they're
Christopher, hold
saying
on,
so. Right now, when
Christopher,
people
Christopher.
protest and
Hey,
say
whoa,
that,
Christopher,
Christopher,
time
I
out.
just want to say one
Hey,
thing.
Divine, yeah,
We,
go
we,
ahead,
we
Divine.
also got
Divine's
to
like one of the
understand
original
that. Hold on
co-hosts.
one sec, Jay. I'm going to be real quick because I can't stay on. The area where Babbitt was, we're missing the point. The officials were in that area. That's why other protesters and people who were able to get into the Capitol were not shot. That specific area where those guards were, that was an area where officials were being held. So I think we're missing that whole point. She was about to come through the window where our elected officials were. And if I'm wrong, somebody correct me. This is a major reason why she was shot. It's like this is the barricaded area, this is the area, this is the stronghold. Oh shit, they're encroaching. It's time to shoot.
okay, if that's the case, then I hear you. I understand 100%. Um, but just to go back to the point where, like, when you go to protest, you hear people talking about wanting to kill Donald Trump all the time, right? So just because they're protesting on federal land, right over there, and they're saying these things, so should those people who are protesting be shot in the head just because they're doing that? Because
Yeah,
this
but
is
those people.
what like this is a lot of what I've been hearing throughout this entire argument is that all of those people should have been killed. Anybody who's doing that should have been killed, and that's pretty dangerous to me to hear that coming from people like I understand, like, I'm not agreeing with this whole thing. I think it's a completely stupid, that anybody did any of this shit. But this idea that yeah, like just kill everybody, just kill all of them. Like I don't think that's a humane approach to go about. And this is why I was saying earlier, like, just shoot them and hurt them and like confiscate them. I mean, like arrest them and shit. As opposed to like just kill everybody because the next time there's ever a protest, then that just means okay, yeah, like the police can just kill everybody there, and I don't think anybody wants that.
So
Chris.
you're
So what the deal is, Chris, is this wasn't just a federal building. This was Congress. It was closed. All of Congress, the House and the Senate, were convened. The Vice President of the United States was also there. This mob scaled the walls, broke through windows, broke through doors, and went into an area where you had a cumulative number of members of Congress. That's why she got shot. This wasn't someone that's just saying, oh, that's the Department of Education. Let me go break into the Department of Education. It was Congress. It was the sitting members of Congress all convened. They were a threat. They was screaming, hang Mike Pence, the vice president of the United States of America. Let's switch it around. Let's say that was the president
Okay,
who
so
was there. Let's switch it around and say that was the president who was in there. And they were screaming, hang Donald Trump. Do you think that they would not have blown their brains out for trying to go in and mess with sitting members of Congress? Do you know what it takes when sitting members of Congress are convened, when they travel and there's a large group of them, the type of protection and law enforcement activity it takes just to protect them when they're traveling in mass numbers? Because basically, if you take all of them out at one time, then we don't have a Congress. So we're not talking about some willy nilly. They charged a federal building. That's not what happened. It was Congress.
Thank you. So hopefully he's understanding.
Man, repeat what she said.
You
Go to
you
sleep,
guys
Diana.
didn't, you didn't get what I was talking about. I understand where you guys are coming from. I'm just talking about this thing that has been said throughout this conversation that all of those people should have been killed, and that's what I'm asking is that so anytime there's a protest that on federal grounds, the police should be allowed to just kill all those people.
Nobody
So
is
That's
what?
saying
all.
that.
Hold on,
Nobody
Michelle.
is
Hold on,
saying that.
Michelle.
But if they're
Let
going
me,
after Congress,
Michelle. Hold on.
then yeah,
So
kill everybody.
Blow yeah,
Yeah.
let me
blow
respond
them,
to
blow
you
'em
as a
away.
vet, right? As a vet, because what, Chris, what you're missing here is that you're talking about a protest. So you're saying protest as if they're just regularly protesting outside on the ground. These people were breaking and entering, and that's the low level version of what we're saying. Because technically, they were storming a federal building. And so you're saying protest, but you're ignoring the storming and the breaking and entering of a federal building. And so when people say that they should be shot, it's because under the regulations that actually govern how things happen inside of that federal building, they should have been shot. But you're saying no, you're trying to mix that in with people who just decide to protest something on a daily basis, weekly basis, whatever the case may be. But those two aren't the same thing. When it comes to that situation, deadly force is authorized. There are different reasons, but in this case, in the defense. And so this man who actually shot Ashlee Babbitt, if you really look at it, people don't really understand when they're trained. He didn't want to shoot her. He took his time in shooting her. He actually shot a center mass. When everybody says blow brains out, that's actually not. You're supposed to aim center mass and shoot somebody. That's what he did, but he didn't actually even shoot that much of center mass, which means that's how much his commitment was into it. He technically didn't want to shoot her, and he only shot her once. Because if it was me, primed how I was trained, man, it would have been way more than just one bullet shot, right? The message, look, I would have done my job clearly, but he just shot once. And so, in comparison to what you have as far as a riot, charging a building, breaking and entering, or just a protest, these are not the same thing. So, I understand what you're saying, but you're conflating it because this is not talking about people protesting peacefully, loudly, even aggressively. These are people who have began criminal acts, and now we're talking about, now we're in the grace period or enabling them to move further because nothing was done when they first climbed over. Enabled. Nothing was done when they broke through the threshold of the door. And by the way, anyone who says threshold means going through the front door. That's going from outside to inside. That's the threshold. Anything else is not a threshold. So we should stop that. Now you're inside. They built barriers. They put furniture in front of doors, and they keep progressing. In these instances, we are not at the normal protest of what you're trying to explain, Chris, which is where the problem lies. I want to make sure we all understand this. This is why this guy was not indicted or charged or he was cleared because he did his job. To me, not even to the T, because he shouldn't have took as long because that's not how we're trained, especially not in defense of others, defense of VIPs, in defense of assets or anything important to the United States of America. You're not trained to hesitate as much as he did. And I'm landing.
Yeah,
Shout
not
out to
even
that, bro.
that. Not even that. If he didn't shoot that
Appreciate it.
lady, do you know what type of message that would have sent to everybody else? If he didn't shoot that lady, do you realize how many other people would have just followed suit after her? You know what I mean? If he wouldn't have shot her, if he wouldn't have drawn the line, how many other people would have just jumped through the window? You know what I mean? So I mean, you got to draw the line somewhere. The foolishness got to stop somewhere, man. Come on, we got to realize what we're saying.
Right. They let her in. Why can't I jump through the window? Or just unlock the door once if y'all get in, just unlock the door. We ain't gotta wait no more. Jump no window. Open the door for her. But feel free, chatter. I'm sorry, I was just jumping in. Or how do you feel now, Christopher?
I would unload it.
I mean, nah, he answered the
That
question, so that's cool. Gave me a better understanding.
Christopher, now you understand why I said I would have made that hall smell like iron and copper.
Yeah, I get you now. That doesn't mean I agree with it, but I understand.
Christopher, what would you have done if you were the cop?
I mean, if that was a situation, I would have definitely called for backup, utilized maces. I would have just utilized a bunch of like whatever I had to do, like pepper spray, whatever I had to do to basically get these people to like back off and calm down. I would have made a bunch of arrests, but I wouldn't have
correct.
immediately like grabbed my gun and like just started shooting people in the head. That's not what I would have done. But yeah, I would have. I would. That's what I would have done.
I
But I
also
Uh,
would.
would have waited, Chris. I would have waited until she was more of a threat. And then I would have trusted the other big ass armed guards that were there that should have never moved in the first place. But that's a different conversation. So I also
You
would have
talking
waited.
about the ones getting beat up and their head smashed in with a flagpole?
Now,
Those?
why are you lying?
They they, they didn't
They
beat up
did
no
not get
officer.
no they didn't beat them
They
up.
didn't beat
They were
up no
right
officer.
there.
Yo, my, I'll just be crazy.
Diana's right. Diana, you're talking.
Quentin,
Well,
unless
no,
you're ready to come to Chatter and watch this video with us, I
Uh,
suggest you
what
see
video
this
you watching?
video.
I can't pull up online. And
So you're saying that no officer was harmed at all?
That is not
it's,
what I'm saying. Y'all
I'm
like
asking you.
on
okay,
Okay,
hold
code
on.
I'm. That's a
here.
question. That's a question.
So no, Chris,
No, Chris.
what Diana's talking about, there's a video where you can see from the side where the protesters are coming in, you can actually see officers on the side on steps, like beside the protesters. They were moved out of the way, and it's kind of like they were on standby, but they weren't in front of the door to stop the protesters. And they were armed. They had larger guns. There's about four or five of them, more dressed more like SWAT. Like they were just kind of coming up the steps, but they stayed to the side. Or they were standing there and they were moved to the side. I think the report says that they were moved to the side. So they were there, but then they just were on the side. They were definitely more armed than the guy at the door who shot Ashley Babbitt, but they were definitely present. And they were definitely a much more dangerous presence than Bird, who actually shot Ashley Babbitt.
So they were watching.
Y- Technically, yeah. You would have to see the
Yeah, but
video.
that
I mean, yeah.
that right there should have been a sign that this is the line not to cross. That I mean, anybody with logical sense would let you know if these guys are on the side with us and there's guys on the other side with weapons. That should let you know that this is the line. We can't go past this line.
But
I don't
you just
understand why
use the
people.
word. You use the word logical, big man. And that's what goes towards my bringing in, the fact that the president was sitting there reinforcing that this was a stolen election, knowing there's a bunch of military vets there, knowing a lot of them have, some really strong feelings about the claims that were being made against those same representatives. And so to me, civilly speaking, I'm shocked they didn't go, and maybe they did, I don't know, start suing the government for that, right? I'm sure that this had to have been part of the defense's claims at some point, maybe not with Ashley, but with other people, because to me, they weren't thinking logically at all.
Diana,
and
they literally were in court saying that Donald Trump sent them. They did this because of Donald Trump. While he was saying, I didn't tell them to go and do that.
right.
There was literally a lot of their defenses. Donald Trump told us to do it.
Yeah,
Is
see, that's why I have
And they
more
went to
empathy
jail.
for the
And
people.
they went to jail. No, there's no empathy, Diana.
I've got
You're
some damn
grown. You're grown
empathy.
as fuck and stuff. Somebody can tell
back.
you, go to a place where you're not supposed to be, break everything down to get inside, go through a door, threaten members of Congress, threaten the president, the vice president of the United States, and you're like, well, he told me to do it, so I'm gonna go ahead and do what he said to do. So I'm not at fault for what I did because the president told me to do it. That's just asinine, Diane. And you know damn well you wouldn't listen to Donald Trump if he told you to go do some crazy shit.
Is
Like,
That's a
is there a
fact.
Yeah,
recording?
I wouldn't.
people need
Is
to
there a
think. They need to have
recording
their
of
mind
that?
of their own.
I'm just curious. Is there a recording of any of them having Trump say that? I mean, I was just wondering.
Yeah, go do your research, Ann. It's out there.
I was about to say,
Oh,
right,
Rochelle, come on! I need you to tell me. I'm too lazy.
Well, I'm telling you, but you want to see the actual evidence, so you can go look it up. I'm too tired to pull it up for you. Sorry,
All righty, thank you.
but if I do pull it up, I'll let you know.
All right.
I just don't get. You know, it's so crazy because when and we see regular life when police pull over certain people and things happen and go down and people lose their lives, they always say, "Well, why didn't you just comply? Why didn't you just could just park the car and gave it up? Just get put the keys out, whatever the situation is. Just comply." Now you got 500 people out here with weapons and are breaking windows, breaking and entering, trespassing, threatening the vice president, and you have the weapons and the means to do it. And people are pretty much in here basically saying, "Oh well, why? They didn't like we saying, y'all should just comply and not been there in the first place." But they're trying to make an argument saying, they're there for whatever excuse they want to bring up. It really doesn't even matter at this point, But my thing is, why didn't y'all just comply? Ashley Babbitt would have been here if she would have complied when they told her to stop 4 or 5 times. From what I heard from the video, they told them to stand down, but no, they didn't want to comply. So guess what? She gets three to the chest with body mass. And that's what happens. And so any of the other reasoning or BS don't matter because why didn't y'all just comply? I'm gonna start using that shit against y'all. Why didn't y'all just comply? Like, come on, man.
That's a good one, bro.
Y'all want to have it both ways.
I actually think a lot of people agree that she shouldn't have been there. I mean, I do. But I also am surprised that they didn't take more people out if they felt that threat. So that was always my question tonight. I'm not going to lie, I don't really know a lot about this case. But and I don't believe that I, I'd be pissed if my daughter was there, but she did what she did and she paid the price, but I'm still surprised they didn't get more people if it was that threatening cuz I think I would have just been taking everybody out.
Well, she was the only one going through the door, and they kept telling her to stop, and she wouldn't. And that's when they blasted her, and then nobody else tried to go through the door after she got shot. I'm pretty sure if some of those guys, men who were standing behind her, egging her on and helping to push her through the hole in the door, that if they had tried it, they would have blasted them too. But once she
Well,
got blasted, nobody else tried to go through that hole in the door.
well, those
All the
armed
Okay,
men,
Rochelle.
security
all the
people could have
men that
shot
Thank
her
was
you.
who
ass
was
in the
behind
butt.
her, all the
Those
men.
those men with the big ass guns could have shot her in the
No, those
gluteus.
men with the big guns
The
should
No,
have shot
gluteus and the
everybody.
No, they
glutes.
They
can't.
should they
Listen,
should they should have shot everybody, not just her.
I
But
have the
again,
video up.
none of them tried to go in after she got blasted.
All
Punk
right.
ass men.
So,
I
but they
agree with that
did.
part.
So
Shit.
after she
Okay, if
was
you guys
shot,
don't see the video, I'm gonna pass it right to you, Jay. If you guys don't see the video loaded, you'd have to go down to come back up. And this is the video that we saw with all of those police officers. I think they're police officers, some type of armed guard right behind her. So I'm gonna, Jay, you want to go, and then I'll play it right after you. It's about 50
yeah,
Well,
seconds.
yeah. So because it's actually towards the video. So after she was shot, you'll actually see that the police officers, at least two of them, before the video ends, actually started to step in, point their guns and tell people to back up. But that was after she was shot. A second piece is the last thing you want to do as a police officer is shoot someone in the back. And I believe that's why they didn't necessarily shoot her because shooting someone in the back is like a huge no no. Talk about somebody who had been actually prosecuted and not cleared. That would have been the cop that shot her in the back. But go ahead and play the video, Diana. So the people in the room now can like
All
see
right,
who
here
didn't
we
see it
go.
before.
thank you, Rochelle. I appreciate the answer.
56.
So the men was breaking the windows.
Yeah, that's crazy shit. That changes things for me. Sorry.
So the men was breaking the window, but then she's the one that
Nope.
decided to go through it.
Yeah, you know,
Please play
Diana,
it one more time.
Diana gaslighting, guys. I don't care how many officers were there. Look
Use
at how
that
many
word
officers.
one more
What's
time.
what I'm saying? Because I used it because you just used it. Because here's the thing: how many times did how many officers are out front? Then they broke through that right there. How many officers at the door and they were squeezing and all that, and they got through there? Okay, let's not do that. Okay, because those officers there, they were put in a tough situation. This is not Russia, okay, where they would have killed their own people real fast. It's the United States of America, and they gave grace. That doesn't mean that they didn't do anything wrong because we have principle here. So that and the fact that the investigation showed that they were forced, okay, to move. So the tactical gear officers, they rushed over there because they heard that they were about to get breached. So the tactical gear officers rushed there. So and once again, if I'm charged with protecting a high value client, an asset, I don't give a fuck what the officer's doing outside of that door. If someone comes to that door and I know they're not supposed to come to that door, I'm taking them out. I'm not going to count on anyone. We're not going to rely on anyone else to take care and protect these. That's my job, and I'm going to do it the way I was instructed to do it, the way I was trained to do it, the way I know, the only way I know how to do it. So all of that talking about how many officers out there, I don't care. It could have been fucking 50,000 officers out there. If someone came through that fucking door, I don't know what the fuck they got under their clothes. I don't know what kind of gun they have. I don't know what kind of suicide vest they have. I don't know shit they have. If someone started coming through that door and that was the last line, because we reached through those lines 4 or 5 times for their fucking privileged ass. All right, those lines was redrawn 4 or 5 times for their privileged ass. Okay, they shouldn't even got up the fucking. They shouldn't even got on the grounds. They shouldn't even got up the steps. They shouldn't got through the door. They shouldn't got down those corridors, and they shouldn't have made it there. Okay, so don't tell me that they should have fucking waited because they should have blasted their fucking heads off as soon as they got on the fucking. As soon as they started breaking in the fucking doors.
Thou
All right,
Facts.
shalt not
she
kill.
she 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 breathed. She breathed air 10 minutes longer than she probably should have. And that's keeping it real. I'm being honest. I'm not
Diabolical
trying.
ass
I'm not
laugh.
trying. I'm
Hey,
not trying to
hey,
be harsh.
Jonathan Bing, did they sound like they was complying with police officers?
No, they failed to comply. She was
Oh,
also she wasn't complying. All she had to do was comply. She'd be alive today.
that's a fact. All you gotta do is comply.
But Jonathan made a good point. That was the last line. They had drove 3 or 4 lines before that. This was the last line. So if they made it very clear, if you cross this line, it's deadly force after this. I mean, come on, man, that's clear as day. Even officers walking around like Diana was explaining, those officers were like Jonathan said, they were generous. They were being nice. Okay, y'all in here, we letting y'all do what y'all do, but this is the line right here. And y'all want to be silly? Okay, fuck around and find out. And unfortunately, she found out. So I mean, come on now.
Now, when you come from a privileged background, you just don't want no accountability for your actions. That's all that is. You think you can do what you want and go home and watch it on TV.
Yeah, they found out that privilege card that they had is like a fucking platinum card. It says unlimited, but there's a balance. You'll find that balance one day, and they hit that balance. They hit that balance that day, and she and she got a jackpot for that
Your
bitch.
Talk your shit,
life,
JB.
your life.
I'm telling you, imagine if her family would have been like doing the same thing and saying that the
Take
police
that, take
officer
that fucker
was
out.
black. Nah,
Take that
y'all
fucker out.
tripping. Y'all tripping. And I didn't bring up gaslighting. I hate that word. You're the one
You
that
said,
brought it
you
up.
said, "Huh, we tripping about what?
You said cause she's what?
Cause she's who?
You just
Can
made
you
it.
repeat? Can you tell me what you said again, please?
Yeah, please, me too.
You said imagine what?
Oh, imagine, so race is being brought up. It was one of the first things that was brought up regarding this case. And my question is, imagine if they would have been saying that the reason that he shot her was this police officer was a black police officer. So I don't think that it would have been any different if it would have been a white person or a black person going through that window, or if it would have been a black officer or a white officer with a gun. So to bring race into this is, again, it brings the question as to why.
I
Why
don't think
is
that
it?
they're saying the race is because the woman got shot. I think you're right about that. I think it's the reactions that are happening after is how the race is getting brought up.
But I mean, Chris, like
No,
earlier,
no, no.
it
There
was
was
even
a
brought up that like somebody said that, well, I don't think, I don't know if she said that she didn't think that George Floyd, or wasn't sure if George Floyd or Breonna had gotten, if their family had gotten any type of settlements, and they did. I think George Floyd was over 25 million and Brianna was over 10 million. So these things do happen. And Brianna, she didn't even do anything, right? She
You
wasn't
don't
committing a
understand the
crime.
difference between
How
this
about
and that? You
Do I
genuinely don't get
understand?
the difference, or
Yeah,
no?
to compare those
It's,
is even
it's,
crazy.
well, I wasn't the one that compared them, right? This was brought up in the beginning of the show where we're talking just about the settlement, you guys. So again, even just taking the settlement from a perspective of not dragging this out for another year sometimes is worth settling. We don't know how much they settled for, but to say that there haven't been other cases that have been settled, I don't think that's not accurate.
these?
So the
Here,
fury, I'm trying to understand the fury and the hate between to cause this sentiment that she absolutely deserved to be shot and killed like a dog. Like I don't agree with that.
so no,
Yeah,
no,
black people get
the
killed for
initial
less.
piece. Hold on, the initial piece of race wasn't brought up with those cases. It was brought up with how far is too far in this situation, and how far they gotten compared to how far someone of another race would have gotten in the same situation. That was the first time race was brought up, and that was
No, it
before.
was brought up at the top of the show with regards to a settlement period. You
You
can go
know,
back and listen
before
to the
that
first
settlement,
show. Were you
before
here
that
during the first
settlement,
show at the beginning? Were you
I
here at the
was,
very
yes,
beginning?
because the in beginning of how far is too far was actually brought up by Jonathan, and how far someone would have gotten if they were them versus a different race. And that was the very beginning. That was before what you're talking about. That was the first and initial position of anything to do with race. And then we moved past it. Then that statement was made. I've been here since the very beginning and
Right.
before
So
that.
why bring up race from the
So the
beginning?
ideal is this: why
In
people
this
are
imaginary
arguing? Hold on,
scenario,
bars.
is
Hold
the
on, bars.
cop
Hold
still
on, bars.
black?
Hold on, bars.
oh my
Man,
The
god,
Barth, you
ideal
know
is
that
this.
man's talking.
Yeah, the ideal is this. They were given so much grace, and I feel like I call it enabling because that's what they were. They were enabled, but they were given so much grace, step by step, barrier by barrier, until they got to that point to where people still feel like there should have been more grace given, only because it was enabled in the first place. That's the problem. So now we're sitting here with people who are ready to argue in the defense of the person who was pushing into our country's capital, federal building, and installations
But
versus
we're
the
not
person that
doing
was
that. Just
protecting it.
just to be clear, that's not what we're doing here. We're
That's not what
talking
we're doing.
about, no, no, no,
The,
no, no, we're not. We're talking about the settlement. We're
so
talking
the
about whether
settlement,
or not the settlement was appropriate or is
so the
appropriate.
settlement, the core of the settlement, and how appropriate it is dependent upon if this person was okay with pushing into a federal installation versus the person who actually defended it and saying, hey, this person who defended it was defending it injustice. And because of that, the person who was actually breaking and entering, going beyond boundaries, getting inside and trying to push even further was in the right or the wrong, or just defended and killed in the wrong way. When in any other instance, depending on what's going on, the defense of the country and the symbols of the country, the interests of the country should always fall first, no matter if it's a US citizen or a foreign citizen. It should always fall first because it's the United States of America. And if anyone goes against it, internally it's called treason. Externally, it's inciting war. But in this case, it's internally, but we don't want to call it treason because we're talking about US citizens. But that's technically what it was. Because technically, the Tea Party was treasonous. That's what it was. But we were separating ourselves from a different country. We won that. So in this case, this was a treasonous act. But what if this incited something? It separated it, and now the people who stormed the Capitol won. Then in that case, then she's vindicated because now there's a new power that puts her in a place to where she's okay. That's not the case. The same institution, the same government is still in place. Everything's still the same, except for there's one person who says she's okay. The same person who actually gave a pass to all J6ers. So in that actual instance, that's where I believe this is coming from. I believe this is being waived and okayed. There's a box check that says, man, go ahead and settle because she was a J6er. Other than that, that whole thing and the fact that the country didn't deal with it in a serious strike makes the country look weak. Because that means somewhere along the way, we have cracks in our defense. We now have issues in how we handle things, or there's always going to be a confusion because there are emotions that will now overtake what we actually have written on paper on how we're supposed to handle things. And so, if there is someone who comes into the country and decides that, man, we're going to try to infiltrate and we're going to figure out a way to do it, we've already seen a history of how they handle things in a weak manner. And now we know how at least we have one angle of how we can do this. We can't repeat the same exact thing, but we do know that they actually have habits, they have mistakes, and if they have habits and mistakes, they'll repeat them. And that's what that just showed the rest of the world, especially the rest of the world that cares about actually doing or causing us harm. I'm gonna land on that, but think about that for a second because we're
You're
also
making
getting
it really hard to argue with you when you're being right, okay? I don't like it.
Let,
Um,
let me let me add this
Ron,
and stuff. So when the George Floyd protests were happening and they said they were going to march to the Lincoln Memorial, Trump ordered the DC National Guards to go out there and they literally lined the entire steps, grass, everything leading up to the Lincoln Memorial. So the protesters couldn't even get anywhere near it. When they marched and they were protesting going on Pennsylvania Avenue, when Trump went out there, when he went to the church and held the Bible upside down and correctly, they literally sick the horses that some of the officers were on onto the people who were out there protesting, and they were peacefully just marching. But when J6 happened, where were the officers? Where was the National Guard? Why did he call them or release them to go when they were asked for it initially? So that, in and of itself, Diana, is racial.
Wait, I heard my name Diana. I was banging in the chat. What did you say?
I said that was racial in and of itself.
Which part?
The part where the George Floyd protesters was going to Lincoln Memorial and Trump called up the National Guard in DC and lined the entire grass steps, all of that of the memorial, so they couldn't get to it. But they weren't going to tear it up or vandalize. They were just peacefully marching and protesting. Then when they protest and marched on Pennsylvania Avenue, when Trump went out there, and that's when he held the Bible upside down incorrectly, and they stick the guys on horses onto the people when the horses literally was putting up their legs and attacking people and stuff. But then when these J6ers that he told them to go to Capitol Hill, and he took how long before he called in, allowed the National Guards to go in? That's racial in and of itself.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember when he held the Bible upside down too. Ty said, and Barth, I'm gonna pass it right back to you because I know that you were trying to jump in earlier. I know we
No,
don't
no,
like to
no.
do. Huh? You don't want to jump in? What do
Well,
you What do
no.
you have
I
to say
I
about this?
I would
one
fucking
thing,
stir the fucking shit out of this conversation, but I'm not gonna do that.
you're not educated enough to do that, buddy.
Oh, Q. I just got home from work. Give me a second. Uh, you guys are amazing.
Somebody bring this man a cupcake.
Cállate.
Who's making a point now? Barth? Are we waiting for Barth to make a point? Jesus Christ. We really in a shithole.
You gonna let Q talk to you that way, Barth? No, but I know we don't like talking about race here. It is what it is. Um, but Ty brought up something. I don't think it was last night, maybe a couple nights ago, that this administration was anti-black, and I think it's worth having the conversation at some point because we're starting to see that we definitely have people that are taking what the administration could call us trolling and just showing that what one person deems as trolling is really serious for somebody else. And we're not even what halfway through, well, almost halfway through the first year, and I don't think this is going to get any better. So I
What
think
was he talking about, Dan? Was he talking about the executive orders regarding desegregating things?
Ty,
Was he talking about the attack on the African American Museum and all the artifacts and things
yeah, everything.
that was on loan there? Well, that stuff is not trolling. That stuff is true. He literally
Uh-huh.
signed executive orders. So how is that trolling? Trolling is when he go to social media and put up his little stupid posts. But when you sign something into executive order, that's a whole different thing. Even though it can be fought, it's being fought in the court system, but he still signed EOs in reference to that.
So the
So how
trolling
is that
comes
trolling?
in because of the Ty. I'll pass it back to whoever wants to grab it after. So here's where, to me, he really believes that the DEI and things like that are not fair to all Americans, right? He comes from that belief system. The trolling part, I think, is where he knows that his delivery, the way he's handling it, everything with the speed, the verbiage, the hate speech, he knows he is triggering people and really messing with them. And I have never thought that that's the that's a trait that I would want to see in a president, much less an American president. So, it's tough, Rachel. It really is. I was talking to my stepson, he's in the military still. And there are a lot of people who are very afraid of civil war. And if we would ever have something close to that, I would say it would be under this presidency. It's getting ugly. I know we come and we have our conversations, but I think it's going to be up to the people to take all the shit that's coming out of the White House and make the best of it.
Yeah. So here's the thing. It's one thing again to troll, and your trolling is just that, just trolling. But when you put things into action and things are happening because of the action, because if you're doing that, that's a totally different thing, right? Like literally, you have people who have had their artifacts at the African American Museum for the past 10 years who are getting letters and disinformation, miscommunications, but it's literally about the things that they place on loan to the African American Museum. And so that's not playing. That's not trolling. It's like literal things in action. Telling people you're going to return a Bible that you use when you march for Dr. King because, oh, that Bible is DEI. Making the face of DEI black when statistically the data shows that white women in particular were the greatest beneficiaries of DEI. But you would dare make the face of DEI white. You wouldn't dare make the face of social services white, which is what they actually are, because then guess what happened? Just like when white people come off their mics in this room, when white people are being allegedly attacked, then white people will not allow for white people to be attacked in that manner. Oh, you're not going to take the jobs away from the women. You're not going to, talk about the people that need social services. But what the hell is the country here for? That's what the government is supposed to do. But when you lie and make it the face of other, then oh yeah, I'm totally against DEI. The black people. Oh yeah, get rid of welfare. because the minorities are using it when it's not even factual. And the fact that people let them play in their face, even when the truth is espoused time and time and time again, is crazy. So his
All right.
EOs that he's putting into place, he's literally putting into place, and he's doing things. Look at the black universities that have lost funding because quote unquote DEI. When again, DEI has nothing to do with black people. It literally is a mechanism that if you're qualified, then you have an opportunity to have a leg up. But the greatest, like with voting rights, the greatest beneficiary are have been white people. But they won't make it the face of it. And then white people fall for the okey doke and think that it's not about them until now they've lost their jobs. Now they're all over social media crying. I voted for him, but I didn't vote for this. What he's doing is wrong. Yeah. So yeah, it is anti-black. Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I'll play. What is the most offensive, or what maybe the media or people like you freaked out about in reference to something Trump said about DEI since whenever?
But people like me are not freaked out by anything Trump said about DEI because we know that we're not the beneficiaries of it. We know the beneficiary are white people, white women in particular. So go ask them what he's done that has freaked them out. Because again,
All right,
in
listen.
mass, they are the ones who have lost their jobs. They
Right?
are the ones who's losing everything. So people who was not the greatest beneficiaries, why would we be freaked out?
Okay,
Like literally, we're out here line
that was
dancing
just
and
a
having a
little
good time and stuff
liberal
while the
joke
rest of the
for you.
country is burning down to the ground. We're
Right?
good.
Do you want to go
We've
back
been
to
here
the
before.
question? All right. My question for
Hey,
you is,
I
what
got my.
has Trump said that make like that has been the most, oh my gosh, can't believe he said that, in reference to DEI? And how does that make this a black
Go ask the
issue?
white people who are affected by it, Bart.
I want to understand why you as a,
I don't have an understanding for you. Again, white people are the greatest beneficiaries, so go ask them what he has said and done that has affected them, the ones who have lost their jobs, the ones
that is,
the ones whose departments have been shut down and taken away completely. Because let's be
that
clear, a lot of
happens.
the people who worked on the DEI initiatives were white women
Lost
as
3
well. So
businesses in COVID. You
go
pick
talk
up
to
your
them. Go talk
bootstraps
to
and you
them.
move on. No, like, okay, maybe I misunderstood you, because maybe you're saying Trump is going after white women with DEI, but I thought you said Trump is going after
Trump has gone after white
African
women. What are you
Americans.
talking about? That's not
No,
what I said.
in the diatribe you
I
just
said that you
gave.
attempt to make the face of
Mhm.
DEI black, just
But
like the
how has
attempt
he
to
done
make
that?
the
How,
face
that's what I want
of
to answer
social
to.
services
How
minority
has,
when the greatest recipients of social services are white people
that's
and the
right.
greatest beneficiaries of DEI have been white women.
I've
So
heard that.
therefore, the people that he has taken down
Mhm.
has been white people. It has not been black people
Then what?
with his anti DEI.
And
Okay,
you're
so
making
you just did a
Bart, you're making her point because you keep thinking that you asking her what she thinks about the
I
DEI. Telling you is black folks was the face of it. That's why you keep thinking you can
no,
ask.
no, no, that's my
She's
question.
to ask, and she's telling you to
No,
ask a
you
person.
guys are doing the liberal left turn leap around. My question
Um,
is, what has Trump
I ain't,
done to
I,
make black people the face of DEI? It's a
Okay,
very simple
Bart, it's
answer.
clueless talking to you,
I,
honestly.
no, it really is. That's what I said before. Like,
Well, wait,
I'm
was
trying.
the
Let me try one more time, and then maybe
okay?
if Leah's here, you can translate. I want to understand, as just a human being, why Trump and what he's done to make black people the face of DEI when we all know it benefits white women the
You didn't
most.
know that shit until we brought it to light. Stop playing, Bart.
Jail.
Stop
You're
playing.
talking to
That's not
Scotty
the shit you was arguing
sources.
about in the
That
beginning.
is
Stop
probably
playing.
true, Rachel.
It is not true.
I know it's true, Diana.
Okay, okay. So here's a question to Barth's point, right? And Barth, you can tell me if I'm in alignment. So, do you believe that prior to Trump, what you're saying was already in place, where you believe that Black people were made the face of DEI? Was that before Trump got into office?
Yeah, that's my
Uh,
question to Rochelle, essentially. How's
I
Trump
think
Absolutely.
that's
made
what
it?
Barth was
No, no,
trying to
no.
ask.
Absolutely. Everyone tried to make it because it's, oh,
No,
George
no, I
Floyd,
want to
what
know how
happened?
Trump's
What
made it.
happened? What happened? Exactly, Bart. Bart, go back and listen to everything Donald Trump has said about DEI and you'll have your answers. I thought you listened to your God and Savior quite closely. Apparently you
Yeah,
don't.
and
Because
there's one
if you
specific
did, then
moment
you would know exactly
that
what he has
sticks
said about
out to
DEI
me.
and what he continues to say about DEI, Bart.
And how that specific moment that sticks out to me, where everybody lost their shit. Do you remember what it was, Rochelle? It was that white woman who crashed that helicopter into that plane when he said, subtly that it was a
Mm,
DEI issue.
No,
Hold
let's take it back
on.
to the
Might
FAA
learn
employees
something.
where he said all of
Might
the
learn
white
something that
men,
doesn't have to
all
be
when he said all of the
about
white men
race.
who could be FAA
No, I don't
certified,
want.
that they were
No, hold
not
on.
being given
I'll
jobs
get to
because they was
the
giving them to
FAA
the
You
after
want
black
this.
people. Go back to that.
Can I? I mean, do you give me a list first? I was going to FAA next. All right, respect the spectrum. He accused
You
that
weren't going to
woman
FAA. Stop it. Stop
you on
lying.
of
spectrum? Go ahead, Bart.
crashing. Huh? Q. I have
She
a
listened
hard.
to your question
Can you
and
come to chatter? I can't
no,
understand
no,
you
coming to
on
chat.
Clubhouse alone.
He was answering.
Fuck.
He was literally answering your question, and you still talking
Dude,
over.
I don't need you to interject, feller. I know you miss me. If you miss me, come to chatter. Otherwise, I don't have anything to say to you. I'm talking to Rochelle.
I rather go on
I
mute.
can only put one person's
Tell this whoop his ass.
brain in a pretzel at one time. You're too easy. All right. Rochelle, do you remember the moment? Oh my God. In fact, that's where I learned that white women were the biggest beneficiaries of DEI was during this time when Trump came out and clearly insinuated that DEI was a reason for the crash. Do you remember that? Yes or no?
Do you
Yes or
remember what he said about the
no?
FAA employees and all the white men who were whining and crying because they
Huh?
were not getting the FAA jobs and they were going to minorities? And he tried to,
No,
blame everything on the FAA employees. Do you remember that, Bart? He did it at the same
I do
time.
remember
He did it at
that.
the same time when the helicopter crashed. Do you remember
Uh-huh.
that? Okay, thank
It's
you.
all inclusive.
No, it's not all inclusive. There were two separate
Was
claims.
the
Two
F?
separate claims
All
that he
right.
made.
Tell me what gender the FAA controller in charge of that was.
I don't recall the gender, Bart. You tell me.
What?
Because what does the gender have to do with anything?
Well, what was the gender of the pilot?
What does a gender have to do with anything?
The DEI hire that was the helicopter pilot
So the white
did
men who
not
the
listen
white
to.
men who was in there with
Mm,
her,
yeah.
so they had no control.
Did you hear the news this
The
week?
white men who was in the
Over and
helicopter with
over
her.
told her
Okay,
to.
fine. They told her that, but did they not also have control? Was
No,
there
ma'am.
a singular or a dual control system?
I don't know if they brought double A
Was there
batteries
a
for the extra
singular
controller.
or
I
a
mean,
dual
what
control
are you?
system
This is not a video game.
inside the
She had
cockpit?
control
Inside
of
the
the.
cockpit, was there a dual or a singular control system, Bart?
You tell me.
No, no, you have all the
Hold
answers because
on.
you said what happened this week.
I'm
What
gonna
did they
make you
say
look
this
at
week,
me in
Bart?
my amazing hair while
What
you.
did they say this week, Bart?
She was told multiple times, go lower, do not whatever this altitude. She fucked up, killed a bunch of people.
Hey, Bart.
She was also
Bart, so
part of like Biden's press
all the
corps,
planes that have been
which is
crashing and stuff
interesting.
lately, who's been driving those? Who's been steering those planes? White men, right?
Huh?
All of the planes that have been crashing as of late,
Hmm.
who has been steering those planes in the cockpit? Has it been black people? Has it been women? Or has it been white men, Bart?
I want to know who crashed the
No, let's
plane
go
in
there, Bart.
Toronto.
Let's talk the shit. All of the
Who
planes
crashed the
that's been
plane in
falling out of the sky
Canada?
and crashing
Wasn't it
plane.
an all-female
How
crew?
many plane crashes have taken place, Bart?
I don't keep an
Since Trump
Excel
been in office?
spreadsheet of
Since Trump
tragic
has been in office,
accidents
how
next
many
to me.
plane crashes have taken place, Bart?
27. Actually, I mean, I
How many
can
how many of them were white men, Bart?
642.
Okay, so y'all the problem.
We sure as hell are. What
Got
do you
him.
want me to say?
But I love you and respect your spectrum, Bart.
Appreciate it. But you never answer my question.
Oh, I answered your question. You just didn't want to accept my answer. That's on you.
Cool. There's my hot wife. I'll be right back.
So it's like, they just no accountability.
All right, y'all. Good night. I'm out.
Stay blessed.
Okay.
No.
Good night.